What's going on, you guys? My name is Zach Hartley, and in this video we're going to review the most recent set of quarterly financials from Drone Delivery Canada. That's the stock that has plummeted from $2.55 all the way down to 33 cents where we are trading at today. So in this video I want to give you an update on some of the most recent press releases. We're going to review the financials, we're going to figure out where the CEO is spending all of this money, and I'm going to give you my opinion as to whether or not this represents a good deal for the stock. Here is everything you need to know. Let's go. Okay, so Drone Delivery Canada trades in Canada under the ticker symbol FLT. They also trade in the US under TAKOF. They're headquartered in Toronto with a price of 33 cents Canadian. The 5-year low was about 32 cents that we hit a couple days, maybe a week or two ago, and it's not looking good for the stock over the last kind of basically year and a half here. This gives the company a $74 million market cap. Their logo is underneath here, and the website to do your own research is dronedeliverycanada.com. Now, I've made several videos about this company, so if you want to check out any of those videos, definitely check out my channel. But first, let's review some of the most recent press releases since the last quarterly financials that we saw. Number one here, the Drone Delivery Canada project with the Edmonton International Airport is now commercially operational, which is really nice to see. My understanding from my interview with the CEO is that they're doing roughly 8 flights a day, which is pretty good. Now, underneath that, August 4th, Drone Delivery Canada launches dangerous goods transportation for UBC's Remote Communities DTI program. So they've got a couple more projects coming online. They also did some parachute testing on their Canary drone, this small one right here. This one felt a little bit delayed. I know they were working on this one back when I met with Michael Zara in Toronto. So really interesting there that it has kind of taken this long. And then last one here is Drone Delivery Canada Care by Air project with Halton Healthcare and DSV Canada is commercially operational. So they do have a couple of projects that have become operational over the last little while, and they have had some progress with the Canary drone. So definitely good to see. Now when it comes to the financials here, everything that I'm going to talk about is going to be available on cedar.com. Here's the link if you want to look it up, but basically just go Drone Delivery Canada in cedar.com and you'll get access to all of the information that I'm about to show you. Now, when it comes to the balance sheet here, this is definitely the focus and the star of the show. This is where you want to kind of start your foundation and start your research anytime you're an investor. The balance sheet will tell you how the company got to where they are. They will tell you if they raised money, if they took on debt, and what the cash position feels like in the company. This is usually more important than the income statement, especially when you're first doing research on the company. And when we look at the balance sheet here, it's really interesting. They have about $18.1 million in cash. That is about a $2 million change since the last quarter. So their cash balance has reduced by about $2 million. They do have plenty of assets here, especially compared to their liabilities. $22.7 million worth of assets compared to just $2.1 million of liabilities. But when you read into this, this is the line that I am most interested in here, and it is this deferred revenue line in the liabilities. Deferred revenue means basically money that the company has received for services that they have not completed yet. It's basically like a customer deposit, and it shows you kind of the pipeline of work that the company has logged in and ready to go. And what I don't like about this is that it is going down. It is down by about $124,000 from the last quarter, which basically means that the company is working through that pipeline and they have less of a backlog going into this quarter than they did before. Ideally, you want to see this number just continually increasing because it means more and more customers are lining up for projects. Overall, though, it's a fairly healthy balance sheet. They do have a decent cash balance. If they can't generate revenue, they will have to raise money at some point. But as of right now, it does look like they have a bit of runway. Overall, their operating loss was $3.8 million in the last quarter. They only lost about $2 million last quarter from a cash balance. So overall, they're burning, let's call it $2 to $3 million per quarter on average, which means realistically, they've probably got maybe 5 or 6 quarters in here if they really stretched it out. Obviously, they would have to raise cash before then though, because personally, I'd be surprised if they became profitable. As of right now, last quarter, they did $247,000 in revenue, but their total operating expenses were over $4 million. So their revenue would have to just dramatically increase in order to break even within the next year and a half. Personally, I don't think that is in the cards, so I do think the company's going to have to raise money at some point, but we'll just kind of see what happens. Revenue has been increasing lately, which is nice to see. You can see that year over year and 9 months over 9 months, the revenue is definitely going up, but the expenses are still fairly high right now. Two things that really stood out to me though is number one, research and development. After talking with the CEO, I interviewed him on my channel here a few months ago. You can definitely go check out that video if you want. But he said that they're really going to focus on the product and the development of these products and getting them to the point that they are scalable and operational. And you can really see that in the income statement here. Research and development was $736,000, more than double what it was the year before. And this number for the 9-month period is also increasing. I looked back a couple of quarters and I couldn't find a single quarter where research and development was this high. So I do think this could have been a record number for research and development, which is pretty much exactly what the CEO said he was going to do. So that is good to see, and hopefully this money pays off for the company, because it's been a few years of research and development, and it feels like things are a little bit slow. But that's just my opinion. Share-based compensation here has also increased. It has increased dramatically by over $200,000 compared to last year. And so share-based compensation is increasing. Research and development expenses are increasing dramatically, and revenue is going up, which is nice to see. As far as I can tell, this was a record quarter for the company, not a record month. So definitely something to keep in mind here. When we go back to the summary of quarterly results, you can see $247,000 in revenue compared to $199, $142, and $115, and then $6. So for the last like 4 or 5 quarters, revenue has been increasing pretty steadily, which is very nice to see. It's exactly what you want to see. But again, we kind of saw that before, and this is what happened. It dropped to 18 and 6. So different things to watch for here. When it comes to the balance sheet, they did have total assets of up to $41 million. We are now down to roughly $22 million. So something to keep in mind here. We're going through roughly $3 million per quarter of balance sheet value. Now, when it comes to the budget, again, this kind of emphasizes what Steve Majurius, the new CEO, said he was going to do. Product development and commercialization for this year was budgeted at $1.75 million. We are already at $2.216 million. So he is spending a bunch of money on product development. He's also spending more than double the budget on commercial testing, hopefully to get the Condor and these other products operational. International and domestic marketing is under budget, which is exactly like what I would like to see. I don't want to see a company still developing the project and spending a ton of money on marketing, especially internationally. And international market penetration is also under budget. So it looks like Steve has kind of harnessed things in here, really focusing on the product and research and development and getting these things ready to go off the shelf. Now, when it comes to the Condor itself, in the management discussion and analysis, honestly, there wasn't really a whole lot of updates. They're doing some testing here. They expect it to be ready next year. They're completing endurance testing in Foremost, Alberta. Like, realistically, we are behind schedule. They're keeping expectations low. They're not giving any solid deadlines for when it's going to be up and running. It sounds like they have had some electrical and avionics challenges, and they're working through those challenges. But honestly, not a whole lot of a big update from this quarter. Now, when it comes to the stock chart here, this is a scary chart here, because we are currently at the lowest price we've been trading at since 2018, which is as far back as my daily charts will go on Questrade. So not a good sign here. We hit a high of $2.55, and we have basically plummeted back down. Now, when you zoom in here, it gets really interesting, because since basically the middle of September here, the stock has been trading sideways. I think you can say we've got some support around 32 cents here, maybe some resistance around 36 or 37 cents here, but we've basically been trading in a horizontal channel. And so when we break that channel is when I'm probably going to get interested about this stock again. I'd like to see it break to the upside, but if we break to the downside, definitely not a good sign for anybody currently holding shares. Now, here are my final thoughts after going through everything. Number one, the new CEO is investing into research and development and the project. It looks like he's kind of honing some of the other areas back. Probably a good choice. Number two, revenue has steadily increased over the last 4 quarters. Not dramatically, but it has increased, which is nice to see. And hopefully that just grows into an exponential curve when we start to give them more time. Next here is, I personally think they're way behind schedule on development from the timelines that the company has given us in the past. That I just personally don't think that they have hit those timelines. And so I'm not going to get too excited until they've actually got contracts for drones that are flying. I think that's the real key here, is not so much about the testing and getting these parachutes ready and things like that. I think it's about like, hey, let's go sign a customer for this drone and let's start running routes. That's when you can kind of get excited about it. And lastly, I think the expenses are still way too high relative to the income coming in. The company's office and facility, I've seen it, I've been there. It's not absolutely massive. So the fact that they're going through $3 or $4 million per quarter is kind of surprising to me. I would expect those expenses to be a little bit lower, and I do think the company's a long way from profitability. They're bringing in $270,000 worth of $247,000 worth of income right now, but their total operating expenses are over $4 million. So they've got a long way to go before this becomes a profitable company. Hopefully that revenue growth really picks up in the future though. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about how to analyze the chart and read the financials just like this, definitely consider signing up for my Stock Market Fundamentals course. It is hosted on Skillshare and it's completely free. You get a 1-month free subscription to Skillshare when you use the link in the description down below. The course is only 10 hours long, so you can do it in a weekend if you want. There's over 14,000 students that have gone through the course. There's over 400 reviews for you to read through. And there's over 2 million minutes of watch time that have been spent on the course. So I highly recommend it. I promise it'll be the best free resource that you can find online. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one. Good luck trading, good luck investing, and we'll talk to you soon.